I'm sitting behind the DMV, but it's okay because this is like a low-key DMV that nobody in the city know about. And it'd be like 4 or 5 people here every time I come. Let's talk about infrastructural exploitation. The DMV made me think about this. I drew a little diagram. Look, man, take a freeze frame. American exploitation is like gaslighting. People commonly give you that pick yourself up by your bootstraps. They give you that individualism rhetoric. They give you all these reasons as to why it's not the system failing, it's you as an individual. The ways that they do exploit you is like gaslighting. It's unspoken, it's unseen, especially by people who do not live in exploitative environments. I'm gonna give you some explanations as to how the exploitation is infrastructure. It's baked into the infrastructure of everything. When you think of the word infrastructure, you probably think on a physical sense, right? Roads. And yes, that is one of the ways that they exploit us. Where I live, for instance, Memphis, Tennessee, it is road-based. It's a tire shop at every corner. It's a Firestone at every other corner. It's an AutoZone at every corner. And all of these businesses lobby to keep this city a road-based city, a car-based city. And then to pair with the fact that our city will not invest in better transport, the road laws themselves are predatory. I just came from the DMV. Why did I come from the DMV? I had to get my tags. Why did I have to get my tags? Them niggas was harassing me. I have 2 tickets that I've gotten in the span of 3 days of not having proper registration, right? I had to drive out shit. That shit fake as hell. They pull you straight over. Sir, they probably be writing the ticket as they pulling your ass over. They already know what's gonna go down. And you're not gonna get any, no laxness. I just bought this car. I literally did just buy this car, but they don't give a fuck. They're gonna give you the ticket. And also my headlight is out. So I have 3 tickets because the first time they gave me 1, the second time he gave me 2 for my headlight. But it's like, okay, I did just get paid recently. Hey, y'all. But the electrical issue itself is not basic, right? It is an electrical issue which needs further diagnostic. The fuse keeps blowing. I suspect that it's the radio. It's probably some aftermarket shit from Shenzhen, Guangdong, and the voltage ratings or whatever not spec to the car is making my headlight. But anywho, it's something I cannot afford to go pay a mechanic. It's not something that's a cheap fix, but it's like, because a nigga really a pro for real, I'm being penalized for not having money through fines. So it's like, I don't have money, so I have to pay money. That's a perfect way to show that, you know, infrastructural aspects tie together and kind of perform a combo attack on you. So you got the infrastructure itself, you got the road laws, you got the drug laws. The way that alcohol is completely legal, but, you know, they can harass you for some weed is beyond me. It's obviously, you know, who can adapt to the European way of life, you know, because ethnically speaking, alcohol is closer to European lifestyle than marijuana is. It kind of reminds me of in the Congo when you had to do a certain set of tests to become an evolue. An evolue was basically unevolved, that's what it means, black person. But by evolve, they just mean well adapted to European cultures. So like to become an evolue, they would literally come to your house and test you on how well you practice European culture in your household. Do you use forks or do you use your hands? You use your hands, you're not an evolue. Even though, you know, that was just African culture. Anywho, I just went on a tangent. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the European way of life and the drug usage. To put it in layman terms, the shit is simply unfair. It's in the gun laws. Consistently change gun laws, which is weird because owning a gun is a long-term thing. So it's like you change a law. Is everybody just supposed to adapt on the drop of a dime? And it's like, I could understand gun control, but you know they're not going to do it in a productive way. They're going to do it in a way that generates profit. And on the topic of guns and making profit, you got to think about the prison industrial complex, which all ties into that same little structure, that same little pipeline. Our governor, Tennessee, Bill Lee, you can quite literally look him up, look at his donations, and see that his biggest donor is for-profit prisons. This nigga gets paid to lock people up. Don't you think that would incentivize him for locking people up? And then, you know, you got the president sending the guard, which just increases police presence, which just increases revenue for Bill fucking Lee, right? Which is crazy, because with a name like Bill Lee, Governor Bill Lee, ready to lock you up. Like, fuck. Governor Bill Lee, old country ass name, he ready to lock us up for free. He don't even need to pay. But yeah, infrastructural. You got the opportunity inequality. Memphis. When you come to Memphis from a certain angle, that angle being South Haven, right south of it, there's a sign that says distribution hub of, what does it say? It's basically labeled by Tennessee as a distribution hub. And it makes sense because all the jobs are logistics jobs. And then the thing about the logistics jobs, half of the time when you talk to somebody in Memphis, somebody that look like me, they work at Amazon or FedEx. Why? Because those are the only people that pay the closest thing to a living wage, which is weird because they only pay like, okay, you come in probably making like 15 to 18. You come in making 15 to 18, and then you maybe get a little promotion. You don't crack 25. You do not crack 25. And then you got other places, which is like Family Dollar, Dollar General, and they pay you $15 an hour too. And it's weird because when you actually look at the amount of profit that the specific corporation is making, I work at Starbucks. I make $15 an hour. Okay, I'm selling $8-9 coffees. That's still crazy, but you can kind of make sense of it if you gaslight yourself. But then you got Amazon. You throwing this box worth, your receiver, you're throwing boxes. You throw this box worth 50. You throw this box worth 200. You throw this box worth 80. Why are you making $15 an hour when you just generated hundreds of dollars of profit? Maybe if the niggas that work there start thinking like that. A lot of people are kind of trained not to think beyond the scope of the self. Nobody can think globally. A lot of people cannot think globally. It's not only infrastructural in a physical and in a legislative sense, but it's structural in a psychological sense. It's within the infrastructures of our mind. That's when that shit start getting sci-fi. We got generational trauma caused by years of psychological operations against us. COINTELPRO, Jim Crow era. Jim Crow era was a psychological operation. Through the culture, through culture implants, instill bad ideas and instill bad role models and do all this bullshit to sculpt the next generation, essentially. And they did. They sculpted us. At the same time, there were like hints within that culture. Like you watch Boondock. Huey was, when you go back and watch Huey after getting into the literature, Huey was really on that shit. We was all just like, hey, Boondock, listen, Uncle Ruckus. Huey was onto some shit, for real. Like if you even look at the posters in his wall, that nigga had Che Guevara. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right. Huey had the red Soviet star on the side of his shirt. That boy was a commie. A black revolutionary, black radical commie. Hey, what I'm looking like though. Wait. Let me show y'all the literature. Literature break. Wait. First off, peep the pack. Free Gaza. First, hashtag on site, hashtag human shield. Eyes on you. See what I'm saying? I gotta cut this video short. I done went off so many tangents. I had a whole set of infrastructural attacks ready to talk about, but my phone actually done died 3 times within this recording. So we're gonna do a literature check. I'm gonna debrief on the rest of my shit, on the rest of my points, and I'm gonna do them in a different video. Got Angela Davis, Freedom is a Constant Struggle, 10 out of 10. Black feminist literature, also touches on Palestine. I haven't made it all the way through yet, but it's so simple to read. It's not an academic read at all, yet it's so rich in information. So I would definitely recommend this. Brave New World, Aldous Huxley. I haven't made it much through this one either. I got so many books. I haven't finished. I rated a 7 so far. I can tell it's gonna be 1984 dystopia fiction. People's Guide to Capitalism. This is the same academic level as this book, but instead of being about global affairs and global liberation, it's more so about economics. A Beginner's Guide to Liberation and Colonialism. A Beginner's Guide to Economics. White Malice. This a big chunk. I'm like this way through, but this thick in itself. Like, this a lot of information. This motherfucker think it's the Bible. Really good information. That stuff I was talking about in the Congo, in here, pretty much just goes over the colonization of every African nation, how the CIA intervened, just the ways that they move, which are covert and evil. That's all I got. But the rest of my so I said American exploitation is like gaslighting. It's infrastructural, legislation, opportunity inequality, generational trauma caused by psychological operations. It's in the value of property. It's in the systems of value, like credit. It's in ignoring history, like debt peonage, convict leasing, COINTELPRO, Jim Crow, the bulldozed neighborhoods, the sabotage businesses, the atrocities that were unacknowledged. It's in the wages, and it's in the rents, and it's in the connection of them both. But if you want to hear me talk about that more, I'm deciding on what I'm gonna name this video. I want to name it something Black Radical-esque, but I don't want to limit it only to black, because, you know, ain't no struggle but the class struggle. Yeah, but at the same time, Black Radical coded. But you'll see what I name it. I'm just kind of sweating. It's kind of sunny in here. It's kind of hot box. Peace.